I really hope it picked up what you just said, because that would be awesome, and I'm going to cut that into like a full-blown edit. I was toying around with the new trailer thing that plays in the beginning, but
I would be fine with it.
Oh my god. All right, we already gave away who the guest is, but listen, I'll come back to that. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Head over to www.johnbartoloshow.com. Go check out all the sponsors. A complete list of the sponsors there. We have a few of them we'll name now. Gallo Technologies for the walls behind us. Rhino Metals for the tables in front of us. Enforce Weapon Line. CAA Gear Up USA. Right On Optics. Pulsar Thermal Imaging Technologies coming down in price. Go buy a Pulsar. Yeah, you should hunt at night. Enforce Weapon Lights, I mentioned them. Full Quartz and Firearms. Right On Optics. Kenzie's Optics. And Blackwater Ammunition. I'm excited about today. We get a special guest. We have to go under your alias. We have a special guest. The one and only Liberte Austin.
Thank you. Thank you for that wonderful introduction.
Oh, talking on the mic. Pull the mic closer. See, we might not have got you saying that. Never mind. I'll see if it's there at the end of the show. It's like going to be like a treat. So go ahead. What did you say? Thank you.
I said thank you for having me, and I'm so glad I finally get to meet you in person.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Do you not have a lot of short, fat Italians in Texas? No? Is that another thing?
No.
All right. Listen, keep the mic close. The closer it is.
Okay. Like that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. My fans will thank you.
Okay, good.
The listeners will thank you. Yeah. So anyway, you got here. Can you say why you're in town?
I can. I just can't say how it ends.
Why are you in town?
So I just got done with filming the show Surviving Man, the first season ever. And it was an amazing experience. Don Mann, who's a former SEAL Team 6.
Nice guy, by the way.
Very nice guy. Very, very nice guy. And Randy Couture was co-host.
Another nice guy.
You know, both of those guys are a couple of the nicest guys I've ever met in my entire life. So humble.
I will say Don was a pleasant surprise at dinner the other night.
So calm.
Just pleasant to meet, you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's pleasant to everyone. He's so sweet. You wouldn't think that he does what he did, you know? I mean, he's an amazing person. It's so inspiring.
So what can you tell us? What dirt can you give us from the show? Let's dive right in. What can you say? Right? It's a show.
Right. So it's basically a competition. There's a final person standing at the end.
And this is going on American Stories, right?
It's going on American Stories. It's going to be on several streaming networks in July. They're trying to launch it July 4th. And there was 30.
That's pretty quick.
Yeah, it's pretty quick. There's 32 competitors. It was a huge production, I have to say, over at Front Sight. Front Sight is that huge facility over in Pahrump. I can't remember how many acres it is, but it is huge.
And there's crazy people competing in this. I don't know how big.
Crazy people.
Yeah, there's crazy people. I want to stay on this for a second. There's crazy people competing in it, like doctors, lawyers, maybe all wrapped in one. Triathletes, there's all kinds of crazy people. It's not necessarily Instagrammers or influencers or anything like that.
No, I think besides myself, there was just one other influencer, but no influencers. It was just these pure crazy people.
And they had to whittle it down from like 300, right, to get to like...
They had 500 people that applied for it.
How did you get in? You were a throw-in late.
Right. Well, I have a connection to the show, and to the person that put on the show and asked me, he called me up and asked me if I wanted to be on it, and...
Handpicked. Nothing wrong with that.
At first, I said no because I'm not in physical shape. He was saying Navy SEAL training, so they're going to give these people Navy SEAL training, and I'm thinking
they're going to drown you. They're going to put you in a freaking
yes. So I said, like, God, who's going to be on this? Oh, well, former Navy SEALs, former Rangers. I was thinking, no, hell no, I'm not going to be able to do that. I'm going to die. But my husband convinced me to do it because. It was a good thing.
Why not? It's an experience, right? And he gets to have a good time. So,
yeah.
Hey.
Well, then I can get in shape, too. I can get myself... I had an injury a couple years ago. I got into a car accident, so my back was hurt for a while. And after COVID, I just got fat. And so I just needed to, a little, thing to get me back into shape and motivate me. And so I thought, okay, I can do this. It's not going to be that bad. Like, how bad can it really
Yeah, and I
be?
saw you saw you guys one night in, and you were like luggage at that point.
Oh, I was dying. Okay.
Yeah. You guys left early, yeah.
Let me just tell you real quick what the first thing we did. Okay, so Don Man, he comes in on this helicopter all cool, shades, gets off the helicopter, and it's within couple minutes, he's like, drop and give me 20 on the desert floor in the middle of the day.
How dare they?
On rocks. It was like, really? Like, where's our where's the like air conditioner? So it was an experience for sure.
Now, it sounds like fun.
I had a blast. I had so much fun.
And having, two fun people to be around isn't a bad thing. And the interactions I've had with Randy, he's great. And Don, like I said, being a SEAL with his history, super, like, very warm. So warm human being.
So warm.
So a lot of love for that. It was a good crew, and I got to meet some of the U.S. Law Shield people. I was going to bring that up, and you do some work with them. And tell us why they're such a fabulous organization. I got to meet a few of the people. And I got to say, I like them, and that's rare for me. I usually don't like anybody, but I like them. What are they all about? I was trying to always understand it a little bit more when it was like Tara was explaining it to me, but break it down to me what U.S. Law Shield is and what it does.
So U.S. Law Shield is a member program. We have almost 700,000 members nationwide. We are an army of basically 2A supporters.
Lawyers.
Yes, there's a huge network of attorneys nationwide. And what we do is we defend you if you have a self-defense incident. And people don't realize how important this is. I mean, just like we were talking at Randy's gym with some of these MMA fighters that were there, they're considered lethal weapons as well. And so if you do get into an incident as an MMA fighter or you're training for that, you are considered a lethal weapon. And therefore, the punishment is a lot higher than it would be for just a regular person. So whether you're using a gun, a knife, anything, your hands to defend yourself, there is going to be a legal repercussion. And a lot of people don't understand that. They think, okay, well, I'm in defense and everything's going to be fine. And it really depends on where you live too, because if you're in a Democrat state, or city, then your laws are basically shaped around that kind of thinking.
Yeah. Is it classified? It's like an insurance, right? Is there a membership?
It's like an insurance, but it's a membership
program.
Yeah. So,
because I heard him explaining that. I heard them starting to get into that, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. I almost like better that that's a membership based.
It is, because look at what happened with NRA. You have insurance companies that back you, and then they turn anti-gun, and then they drop you, and then you don't have any more coverage. So you don't really want to be. You don't want it to be insurance. You want it to be independent.
Right. Telling you, it's a necessary evil, guys.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm becoming a believer. I definitely liked those people, and I liked meeting them. So much so, I really enjoy people that are in a space that I'm familiar with. I have a bit of a finance background, and I like that. Everybody was seeming really nice at that table. So you had a good crew. You had a good show, I think.
For sure.
My prediction.
What's your prediction?
I don't know if I can say. I don't want to get in trouble. I was quite intimidated by the lady you described at like 97 degrees. Can I say that?
Uh-huh.
I liked her. I don't want to get you in trouble, so I don't want to give any predictions. Never mind. I'm not giving any predictions.
Yeah.
But you did well.
Yeah, I got through. I can't say where I finished or what exactly happened at the end, but last day I was there and I started to get a lot of swelling and just
pain.
Stuff happening in my body that has never happened before because of how much physical strain I was under for so many days in a row. But everybody was just motivating, and it was so inspiring that I feel like this is going to be a lifestyle change for me afterwards, for sure.
Oh God.
Oh yeah, like being around Randy and Dawn, they were
You gonna go do jujitsu?
inspiring. I want to try everything. I'm telling you. I just want to get into. I want to be strong, and that's the thing. Where before, I've always worked out in the past to look good, or like I want to fit in clothes a certain way. But now it's like it's about being strong and healthy,
Capable.
and being able to do things in environments that you're not used to, because some of these gym rats, they hang out at the gym and they're in AC and they have nice little foam pads and
that's bodybuilding. That's not
right. And this was like totally different.
This is what we call functional. And when you're out and you're in the elements, and it's really cool to get exposed to that type of training. And as life has gone on for me, I've tried to do more and more what I would call real world type of, like, I don't need to lift weights like I used to. Like, I don't need the conventional gym like I used to. Has this kind of made you think about things like gender normings, women competing in men's sports, men competing in women's sports? Has any of this kind of going through this type of what would be considered in the past harsh physical training for a woman, has any of it kind of skewed your thought process on any of those things? Or
gosh, I want to say something.
I know,
but I want to reveal this because there is actually a lot of diversity in the group that we picked.
I was very careful how I put it.
Right, and I don't know that you know this, but and I don't want to call anybody out or say it in a disrespectful way, because it's not at all. I have nothing but respect for this person who was with us for the past week, but definitely I had, and maybe I can talk about some of it, but we did have a transgender on our group, and it was definitely eye-opening. Just being in that situation or being with that person, I had a great time with her, and I really learned I have a whole new respect and understanding. But also we were just all equal. So it was not,
And you had never been exposed to it. Neither have I. I mean, I've not met a transgender athlete yet.
Right.
So it's new to me. So I don't, I've never met. I'll go on record. I've said this before. I don't believe men should compete in women's sports. I know that this isn't like a crazy thought for someone from my side of the fence, but let me say this. The reason, I think, is out of more respect for the women's records and for the things that women have accomplished as a woman, as what we would call a biological woman. And to me, biology is biology, which gets into the deeper question. But that's assuming biology is biology and people were inherently born a man or a woman based on physiology. My issue is...
Well, let's talk about girl push-ups. Tell me your thoughts on girl push-ups, because,
Well, I don't want to put you in a bad spot to reveal...
push-ups happening there.
I don't want to put you in a bad spot to reveal anything from the show, so I'm being careful.
I'm trying to be so careful.
I'm being careful choosing my words. So let's leave it there. The transgender, that's how I feel. That's where I stand on it. I don't think... I have a lot of respect for women's records, women who've set records. There's some records that are amazing that are held by women. Although I don't think, women's soccer has had great runs in the past, being, as mainstream could be. But do I think they should get equal pay? I think the situation should always dictate the pay, right?
Absolutely.
So in professional sports, people tend to want to go see men's sports. I heard a great line. I forget who put it this way. There's nothing barring women from playing professional football, right? There's nothing barring them from what I understand. But is that something that they can go do now? There's physiological reasons for that. Like I said, pay-wise, I think women can make a killing, doing whatever, like the healthcare fields are dominated by women. I think they can do very well in any space that they put their mind to. Athletics, just like mothering, might not work well for either side. I might not be a great, what do you call it, like motherly figure, in someone's life. I don't have a lot of those. I don't possess a lot of those skills. And I'm not saying that that's what a woman, is predestined to do, but they tend to nurture better.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Absolutely.
Put it that way. They tend to be more nurturing is the word I'm looking for. So we digress, and I don't want you to give anything away.
Yeah, there's a lot I could say about that.
But I'd love to, the point I'm getting at is I'd love to have you on after, and when you can divulge some stuff, get into that. That would be a cool phone call, actually. We could do that one as a follow-up. Right. Yes. So now the show happens. What made you even get into the firearms business and start to pursue? What is, because it's not money. What is it's never money. What is the pursuit?
So for me, it's really to have just security for myself. I'm very big on just being able to defend myself, protect myself, but how the internet fame-ish. I don't even know how that happened or it was kind of an accident, honestly, because at the time I didn't really even know that there were groups out there like the gun industry or the hunting industry or anything like that. So I really stumbled on it by accident. But once I did find it, I found like there weren't a lot of people around me that were like-minded, right? Because there just wasn't a lot of women or that were hunting or in shooting sports at the time that I knew of. So I was just like, this is great. There's people, like-minded people that think like me that, want the same things I want. And so that's why I really just gravitated towards the gun industry and just started to just be a part of it after that, basically. And it helps that you work in and around the business, right? That's always a plus because you're seeing it from both sides. Absolutely. Well, I mean, the part that I work in is just really something nobody ever thinks about. You don't really ever think about what happens after you kill somebody or shoot somebody in self-defense. You just don't. It's not, unless you're taking a concealed carry class and you have, a law shield person there, you really don't think about it. I mean, how many people really think about that? See, I kind of classify you as a bit of an instructor too, because you're educating people on a side of the business that maybe necessarily doesn't involve something going bang, right? But it does in a roundabout way. So letting them know that there's programs like this out there is probably the first. Yeah. And you do a good job of that. You do a lot of the promoting, and you guys have since done a tremendous job because it was Texas Law Shield, transferring the branding, changing, Shield, to U.S. Law Shield. So, and I am a firearms instructor, an NRA certified firearms instructor, and I do enjoy teaching women specifically because I feel like I understand being in their shoes from the position of being taught by a guy sometimes is just totally different. But this might be a higher calling, is what I'm getting at. It's almost, this may be a bigger thing. It really is. I really enjoy teaching women how to defend themselves. And it's something I'm really proud of. If I meet anybody that I feel like could benefit from it, I do try to promote that for sure, just because I think a lot of women are just scared to do it. Right. I don't know if you saw too. I was going to bring up the NRA news while you were training because we got to give her some grace here. She was in a hole training, but the NRA, got its bankruptcy denied in Texas, where you're from. Is that shock? I mean, that's not shocking to me. That they didn't pass the bankruptcy litmus test. It's going to be very hard for them to run from that whole issue in New York. How does that play out? What does that look like? I mean, I know you guys were ready to receive the NRA for better or worse in the state of Texas. Right. What are your thoughts towards it? Do you feel like, I've had multiple people on that have said like, giving money to the NRA isn't exactly the best thing right now, but what do you think? I think there's definitely some issues there. I don't know exactly the source of the issues with the NRA or what that's been for a while, but I think under this new administration, there's going to be a lot of attacks coming from a lot of different areas. And as we know, the left has a really good way of attacking the thing that they want. So, well, you've heard me say it many times on this show. We're going to lose the gun war. Yeah, for sure. We're 100, and everybody agrees with me. Like, we're 100% going to lose. And a lot of it, to me, as you know, has to do with a lot of the voices at the top. I feel, one, we lack strong, confident voices. We're like the only industry in the world where the CEOs don't step up at a national level and discuss this, right? And what bothers me is nobody talks about the FFLs, right? So you get this Navy SEAL on Fox News, or you get this special operation, and they come on and they talk about gun rights. What that has to do with gun rights, I have no idea. I'm still trying to figure that out. Or you get Collier Noir, they get Dana Lash.
So they get these people and they put them up there, but I'm convinced none of them understand who it affects.
Right.
The mom and pop gun shop owner. You never hear the word FFL.
Right.
You never hear the family-owned businesses. So, and I'm not knocking any of those people. What I'm saying is we don't humanize our own business. We don't humanize it. Right down to when we put somebody on TV. So, as I said, if there's a firearms issue and the Second Amendment issue, they put a seal on, or somebody, like, most of the time. They do that probably 50 or 60% of the time based on my estimation. That person represents everything that the left wants guns to represent.
Right.
What do they always say? Weapons of war. Mm-hmm. So we kill ourselves before we even get into the conversation. And then people want to argue over it's Armalite rifle or assault rifle.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it. And I've been, very upfront and honest about it. And I ask you, is the NRA done as we knew them?
I think that's a very big possibility right now. Honestly, I do feel
on paper.
Yeah.
You have to believe it. I mean, if I file for bankruptcy, you'd be like, oh shit, John needs money. It's times are tough.
Well, if you think about, just strategically, if the left is trying to, get rid of guns, then where would they attack first? They'd attack basically the biggest group of people that, are supporting it, which is the NRA. They're going to go after that first, because once they do that, after that, it's open game.
Yeah, and there are other organizations doing great work. I'm just, again, worried about the big one, or at least what we thought was always the big one.
Well, yeah, because if they take down the NRA, then everything's going to.
We don't help our self-marketing, and then the ammo crisis doesn't help us. Mm-mm. That's horrible in so many ways. I mean, it's so hard for me, and I know I don't want to go down a rabbit hole and get into it, but we do talk about it. It's you ultimately want the best for this business, but it's so hard sometimes to love it because it never loves you back.
Right.
And that, that's kind of the honest to God truth. You got companies that don't know what to pay you and don't know how to do business the right way. Most of the time, you're almost often explaining it to them how it's supposed to be done. It's kind of terrifying in some ways, and it's always frustrated me. You and I have talked a lot offline, and it's hard not to reference a couple of those conversations about this industry. I mean, there's going to be a lot of people, especially on the Instagram side, left looking for work because that's all going down the toilet with the cancel culture and the engineering of social media.
Absolutely. It feels like it's a dying industry, doesn't it?
Big time.
You kind of see it, although, the gun companies are the ones that are the least hurting right now after COVID, because they were the ones that had that huge influx of new buyers. Here's the thing I think is the issue. You have your gun people, your gun lovers, right? That's one group. Then you have your anti-gun. The problem is that middle space, those 90 million people that went out and bought a firearm. Those people aren't reading Recoil magazine.
No.
They're not reading ballistic. So
no one is, by the way.
They're not going to the those that all these 2A people are creating. So that's where it's going to die, because those 90 million people that could really help spread the message are basically they're MIA in the space. And how do we get them involved in the space? And like you're saying all the time is we're such a clique.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're alienating them before we even start. And then the ammo shortage doesn't help, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So then why would they? There's no incentive for them to go out and train with us or anything else. I mean, I feel like the marketing scheme of there's a lot of pro shooter, this and that and the other. And as a person who probably has never shot, that doesn't probably interest them at all. Yeah,
it's a weird thing, right? Like, so this industry is we've talked about this, and I've been very honest about it, and I try not to rehash. So we're in an industry right now, guys, to people that listen. The firearms business is a very interesting business. And to those of you that aren't familiar with it or haven't, looked at it, we can't market in conventional means. So a lot of what we see out there is patchwork marketing, Instagram. I'm going to post a picture. There's not been a lot of attempts in what I was getting at to humanize the industry, to create conversations. And part of that falls back on our larger institutions that we talk about all the time that we're forever disappointed in. And some of it falls on us, and some of it is about opening the dialogue. And part of this show, and I know some of your efforts with what you're doing, especially with U.S. Law, is to open up the industry a little bit more, to make it more relatable. And as something grows, do you think Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Monster, any of these brands, Nike, want to paint their product as specific for one area?
Right.
The answer is no all the time, because they want to sell to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
What most of the gun industry hasn't figured out is you want to sell to everybody.
Correct.
Every person out there. And that is the biggest struggle. Because when you sit in these rooms, they so quickly want to revert back to, what do you
Tactical.
mean? We need, but a Navy SEAL uses it, or a special, or a ninja. And honestly, it's very, in many ways, it's troubling.
It's a failure on our part because, again, we're alienating, like you're saying, those new shooters who are everyday people. They're moms, they're doctors, they're nurses. They don't have time to go and, put on the tactical garb, and
they can't relate to it. Just like you said, simple.
They don't see themselves that way.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest frustrating things about this business, and one of the giant faults of it. It needs to go beyond what the norm has always been, and the marketing needs to go beyond that. Now, that's a simple statement, but it's so hard to get them past certain things. They will not let go of it. So, it's going to be interesting how it goes forward, and that plays into why I think we'll fail.
Yeah.
And that's just part of it. We're not controlling our best platform for the fight.
I agree.
We're not controlling that.
There. Yeah, and if they don't change it quick, it's going to happen really fast.
Fast. Super fast.
Yes.
So how we navigate this will be very tricky. What do you suggest? What would you do post-COVID? Like, would you still do SHOT? Would you still do NRA? If you were in charge of those organizations, or you were a brand represented at those organizations, what would you do?
I would start marketing more to the average person. Their media, their collateral that they're building, and their marketing teams has to be more everyday user friendly. I want to see more moms carrying babies with guns on their hips so that they can learn how to safely do that, because I think, that's really important for them to learn, is how to carry safely with a child. You want to see average people, we want to see that those average people, everyday people, carrying and doing it responsibly, and from a perspective that's not intimidating, like, here's our pro shooter or tactical guy, or not that's bad, but it's saturated with that. The industry is saturated with that character.
It's going to be a very interesting, but would you still do do you still believe in the shows?
I do. I think that's a good way to keep the Second Amendment community together, but we do have to make it more friendly, I think, for others. I've said before, I think the SHOT Show should be open to everybody. I think they should open. Yes.
They should just open. Stop the facade of it's for the industry. Just open it to everybody. Sell tickets. I think they should do that. That's a given. I think they should definitely beef up what they're doing upstairs and treat it more like going to a seminar, or like, you should want to go to some of those things so you're further indoctrinated into the organization, into what they're trying to teach, and you become a greater fan. But none of those intrigue me. Like I said, they're not putting their best and brightest that they can in those rooms to educate people. NRA, I think the show still has some utility because you can sell at it, and it's that and GAO are like the two biggest national shows that you could sell at and longest running. So I think NRA adds some utility for that. I mean, I think you should I said it before, I think you should be able to sell it SHOT too. Yeah. I know that's a bit of a crazy thought, but I think you should do retail there. I think you should be able to retail there.
And if you invite the general public, then like you said, they become greater fans. They really understand all the different products that they can use. There can be workshops and seminars and ways to get them involved so that, we can all come together and not allow this administration to come in and take our rights.
Right. Now, I wanted to ask you this too. The show has attracted, obviously, its share of Insta fame people, right? People that have seen their rise through that social media platform. Do you feel that the industry is too saturated with Instagram folks and people from, that genre come into the shows and trying to say, like, basically, I'm in the gun, everyone who has a media company is in the gun business? Is that kind of drive you a little nuts as someone who actually works in the business and is a part of the movement? Does that drive you a little crazy?
It does. And what I do, because I do work for the marketing department at US Law Shield, and Part of my reasoning is I want to see more makeup influencers. I want to see cooking influencers. I want to see influencers that are not part of our industry and give them a day in the industry at an event, a shooting event, or at the range, because they'll probably love it. And that would be something that they could show their followers. Because I feel like if we keep reaching into the same pool of people, we're never going to expand outside of our circle.
Right. I agree with that 100%. I think,
So,
yeah, there has to be some growth. So yeah, we've seen this like flood of that crowd, and I'm all for competition. I think it's amazing. I think we need a lot of fresh faces, and I'm a big proponent of that. But at the same time, I think the facade of, like I said, buying tickets as far as the show goes, just let everybody in. Yeah. Just let everybody in. And whether or not they decide to sell at it, I think selling would help people kind of be able to adjust the cost of their booths and of the space, because eventually you're going to price them out. But either way, we're supposed to have shows this year. It's supposed to happen. Do you think they will?
I do. I think they will. I think people are already tired of the whole mask thing and the regulations, and I feel like it's part of a message that we're sending to continue to go to those shows.
100%.
Standing up for freedom and being able to do what we want to do regardless. So. And
I've always liked the NRA show better, personally. I don't like that it moves as frequently as it does. I wish it was in one place.
Yeah, it's in Houston this
year.
It's in
Houston this year. So, I hope the NRA, and listen, we all hope the NRA digs out of whatever funk it's in. But when you don't pass the litmus test for bankruptcy and you got to face the music in New York, it's going to be tough. So, and you got to win the confidence back of everybody. And I say it all the time, until the companies step up and maybe hold back some of the money and say, listen, we got to get the house in order, nothing will change there.
Right. It would be huge if something happens to the NRA. I mean, for everything. I think it'll just after that fall like a house of cards. So let's hope that doesn't happen. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I don't even want to speculate how that plays out, because I have some very firm thoughts and I don't want to. I do. So, because I do. And I try to be, because you're my guest and I want your voice to be heard. It's not about me. But you have a funny thing. It's you have a knack for portraying yourself on the internet as not just an all-American, but I guess you'd say like doing it the right way, putting yourself out there, but not how do you feel when you see now with the rise of OnlyFans and things like that women are taking advantage of, and some men, I guess, but women taking advantage of? How does that, do you feel like it's exploitation, or it's to each woman their own, or how does that make you feel? I do feel like it is to each woman their own. I don't judge that there's a lot of skin in our industry, but I do feel like, again, it contributes to the alienation of women who don't, live their lives that way. And it does make them feel like intimidated to go into an industry where the women are portraying themselves that way.
Right. So
I do the very best that I can now to not portray that, because I don't want to alienate women. Women are like that. If your husband's going to go to a gun show and there's going to be, half naked babes walking around, you might think a little bit,
right,
to have a second thought about that. You might question the type of show that it is, if that's available there, because all of a sudden you're at a gun show, but it's also half a Hooters, right? So, I mean, it kind
of is. That's a good way to put it,
It kind of is sometimes.
That's perfect.
As maybe a conservative housewife or conservative mom, that might not be your cup of tea. And so I think that does alienate the new people. So the way that makes me feel, it's more like, let's get past that. If you want to do it on your Instagram or whatever, because that's what you do you, but portray guns in a way that it's welcoming for everyone.
Yeah, I think I do believe that there's a fine line between, I think you should be who you are. Mm-hmm. I think it should start with that, right? Be who you are. If the photos you're taking they're professional or otherwise, if they're representative of who you really are, like at the end of the day, I host a show. I take pictures with the guests. I mean, people can hate me for that. I don't know, but that's my real day. I don't have the time. I understand photo shoots. I understand marketing. I understand all those things, and you need them.
Yeah.
The reality is, I think some people take the character a little far that they create, right? So it's like we all want to be an enhanced version of ourselves on media. Like we say, the best part of our day is what we show. Some people are realer than that, and they'll show the hard stuff, but they try to be positive. But I think some people, and we've seen this in this business a lot, they start to become the character, and the character takes over. Where does the person end and the character begin, in your opinion?
Well, that's like what you're saying is like, how do we show our humanity right in the industry? How is that showing humanity? How is that showing the human side when we're these like characters that we're portraying?
Right.
Where we're always badass and we're always, tactical and we're always, doing the right everything. And we really need to show the human side of it.
And listen, it's okay to show those things, even in a media type situation, like a photo or something, if that's who you are, right? Okay, hey, I want to take a picture and I want it to look good. That's fine. I think, like I said, the character, there's a lot of people in this business and floating around this business in circles that we know that they literally become, insert the at name. Mm-hmm. They like become that character. And I feel, right now as streaming and other things come into play, it's going to be very hard to transition to something that's more normal, which is going to be like a platform like this, conversational. It's hard to hide, and too many people aren't going to be able to hide behind that veil of a character unless they take some acting lessons, and that's a whole nother story.
Agreed.
So look, they're all out there. The moral of the story is, where does it go too far? And you sometimes, like, that's why I say don't believe in a lot of false gods out there. There's a lot of, shit out there. So you got to kind of wade through it. Yeah. You got to kind of wade through it. So it's exciting. Now, besides everything that's going on, what else do you have happening? What's going on with you as COVID breaks, and what other projects have you been working on? I know of one. I don't know if you're going to talk about it, but I know of one.
Not sure what you're referring to, but basically, now that the show
I don't want to say
done filming, I have decided to go forward with law school. I've been a paralegal for a long time. I don't know if that's what you were mentioning. Is that what you were thinking of?
The blue line thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't know if you were going to get into that. I didn't know if that was still a thing.
I didn't know what you're talking about, but okay, so Defend the Badge.
Right.
Yes, Defend the Badge is an organization that Sarah Jane Rodriguez and I have put together. And now I feel like we need that more than ever. We started it, we got going doing that, and then everything after the election got so crazy and hyped up that we're regrouping, we're doing a lot of research, and we're getting ready to really relaunch the thing, or launch it. But right now our police officers are under attack completely. And I don't want to say the bad apple thing. I want to say more of, there's always going to be, mess ups.
Right.
In every industry. But we need police officers. We need law enforcement, and they need support, and they need training, and they need equipment. I'm surprised how many people don't understand that, bulletproof vests are not that's something they have to buy on their own. They don't have the same training. We might get more training than a police officer gets.
Oh, absolutely.
So if they're not getting the training, and not only that, but a lot of them suffer from PTSD, and they're not getting the treatment because they're
not even getting the time off.
They don't get the time off to get treatment. They don't get the time off or the encouragement to take care of themselves. Of course this is happening. So I'm not saying I like the word reform, but I do say I think that we need to put a lot more money into our law enforcement to build them up, to get them equipped, to get them completely prepared.
Now, it's funny because I had to give you that fantastic softball to lead into that, but you're absolutely right. I liked it when you guys told me the concept, and I think there's a lot of weight to what you're trying to do because it's multifaceted, and I won't get into it because you guys are still cooking the soup. But I like the idea, and I think, the timing, when you guys started is a little tough, and now you have this going on, but I think you'll settle right back into it in the summer. But I loved the concept, if you stick to that concept of what you were trying to do kind of behind the scenes, raising not just funds, but even gear and equipment and helping.
Oh, yeah. I feel like our law enforcement should have the same kind of gear that we have access to.
And training.
Absolutely. That is just something that we're really passionate about. I feel kind of bad that I get that kind of training, and there's law enforcement officers that don't get that privilege. They don't make very much money to go out there and risk their lives. But that's something that we really want to treat them with.
Right. And yeah, I hope it all pans out. Now, there's that project, and that's going to consume a ton of time as you put it together.
Absolutely.
But any other plans for shows, shoots? I mean, you're going to NRA, I assume, and you'll be back out here for SHOT. But anything else on the schedule?
No, not really. Not right now. I really need some downtime to just focus on work right now. We have some new exciting things coming up at US Law Shield, and it's going to take a lot of my energy. So I'm really looking forward to getting back on Monday and just getting all those projects underway, because a lot of people are going to benefit from what we're working on.
And you're still doing the video portion too, right? You guys do like a vlog, or what is that? You said it.
We do. I mean, we do all kinds of videos.
Yeah.
There's lots of resources out there for people to learn. But we have some really exciting things coming up, and I'm really looking forward to it. So yeah, back to work on Monday and just knocking some of those items out, because like I said, those people are out there with no training and no idea how to get training or how to reach out for resources. So we're looking forward to trying to reach those people.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting summer as we get closer to the shows too. Now, that's at least you have a plan. I have no plan with my life. So, but I love having you out, and I want you to get a little bit. I want to eventually, one of the things I wanted to do here, I told you this, I wanted to get a round table together of some of the women in the business. I've talked about this. I think getting the conversation out there, and I've talked to you about women becoming a stronger voice in the business, but there's certain things that have to be done before we get there. You and I have discussed it. Have you given any thought to creating something like that, a platform that speaks more to women? Because I think that's, to every woman listening out there, I think that's what we need. And the industry needs that more than anything, because whether it's women or minorities that you determine are the fastest growing class of shooters in the industry, women can be so powerful in the conversation.
Absolutely.
And they can be a huge asset. Have you given any thought to that?
Yeah, and then from a marketing perspective, the woman holds the purse strings, right? She pulls the purse strings. So definitely, women are important in the industry, and we need to be focusing on that and getting a group of women together, strong women together that can understand what a woman needs from a woman's perspective would be incredible. It would be a game changer, because a lot of the women, like I said, right now are being alienated from the industry, and we need to reach people on their level. I
think it would be amazing if the NSSF at SHOT Show dedicated a whole room upstairs to something honestly, like that to me would be huge. And if they're listening, or someone from there is listening, they should open up a room one day, have a couple of women guest speakers just to start up the dialogue.
Right.
But they should do just an open Q&A. Women around the industry.
And don't you feel kind of like women are shamed in the gun industry for being feminine, or feminine as in like girly, and then, versus like tactical and
took you 45 minutes to ask me your first question. I'm shocked. Do I think that?
So if they created spaces that women would like, those normal women would enjoy, based on how they should dress and based on how they should this, and those are things they might be interested in. I'm sorry, but they.
No, I think you're right. I think you're right, but I do think before I go, and I mean this way, but before I go crying the boo-hoos for women, feeling like they have to conform, there have been some women that have done some great work, like Amy Robbins at Alexo Athletica. Women have started to forge their way into the industry, and they're viable players. Anyone who says that's a fucking idiot. It's no other way for me to put it. They're viable players. Now, you're here. What you do now is on you.
Right.
And that's like anybody else. Like, you're here. So now it's about carving out. Someone has to step up and kind of bring it together. Unite the clans, if you will. Like, somebody has to bring it all together. And I don't know that woman's presented herself yet, or anyone's trying to, but I've said it a few times. I'd love to see that become a mobilized effort.
Definitely. I have a friend in Houston. Her name is April, and she runs Shash Life. And so that is a actual really high-end purse because the purses that they come up with these days for women are horrible in the gun industry. Sorry, but they are. And she's created this really high-end purses, and she's made comments to me about how difficult it's been for her to try to enter the industry space when she's reached out to some of these female influencers.
Well, that's her first mistake. Because
it doesn't look tactical. She's she's using her own personality and her own, and they're beautiful purses. They're beautiful purses. But again, we have to allow for that, to come in. We have to allow for different people to come into the space and give us their creativity and just add to it.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Everything you're saying is right. Listen, I think there needs to be a kind of women of the world unite moment, because full disclaimer, women are way more vicious than guys. And I think part of a lot of that has to do with just weird, contemptuous, weird jealousy they get around our industry. It's strange, but we've seen it. But people have managed to break through, and I think more will. And I think if you get together and you get that sharing of ideas, you get women in a room talking, and they understand the passion behind projects like you're doing, businesses, different things, I think it'll go a long way. And I think cooler heads will prevail in that. And I think that everybody will step up and be like, okay, this feels good. Now, the million-dollar question I have with women in the shooting industry, what do you feel they need that's not or underrepresented beyond the breaking the glass, the barrier of just getting in? Do you feel they need something else? Because I think what they need is the FFL, NSSF, NRA. They need to get more involved to kind of push you guys.
Definitely, we do need that. We need the bigger players out there to create a different type of space for females. But then also we need to go mainstream. We need to try to create products in the gun industry that go mainstream, that are not just available at Academy or your local gun. Obviously the FFLs, they need to continue that business, but how do we get the people who don't know how to go to there to get equipment? So we really do start needing making more products that are, I think, mainstream.
Yeah, no, and like I said, you're right. The help
like you said with Amy, for example, she's doing a great job of crossing over with the leggings,
making it like almost like a Lululemon product, like a very cool hip product that you can wear whether you carry a gun or not. I agree with you that women need a little help busting through that upper barrier. But what I'm saying is I'd like to, for example, you have Dana Lash out there, right? Mm-hmm. Do a women's summit, pull women together. You're probably the strongest voice out there, right?
I think that would be a great idea.
I mean, but the TPUSA has their women's event, and it's a huge event that they're going to have in Dallas in June. Hundreds of women go to that event of all walks of life, and it is that would be amazing if a gun someone could take the lead, and that's what I'm getting at is somebody needs to take the lead on that and take and again, to guys listening, gals, this is a little inside baseball in the industry, but it would be nice if someone took the lead on it and kind of spearheaded it to take it to the next level, whatever that looks like. Because now I don't know if it's fear, cancel culture, or whatever's crept in. There's that hesitation to kind of bring it all together, and I've said it a few times. I'd love to see them do something like that.
That's a great idea.
Well, whatever, if it happens. Speaking about cancel culture, I was going to ask you, do you see an end to that, or how that plays out?
I don't have a very positive outlook for the future with this administration right now. I just feel like it's accelerating. The cancel culture is going to continue. It's going to get worse before it gets. I can't even say it's going to get better, because at this point, you don't want to know my opinions on all that. I just feel like the left has positioned themselves in such a way that they are probably going to be able to stay in power for a very long time. What they've done with the elections, what they've done with as far as the mail-in voting and all that, the laws that they're creating to just basically stay in power for an extended amount of time. I don't see how we can break away from that at this point. That this election was critical. It was huge. And once we saw that they were able to steal it, I think a lot of Americans just felt hopeless.
That was breaking news. Mm-hmm. You said steal it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's just how she feels.
it is. I mean, I do feel that way. I do feel that there was a lot of manipulation there.
Well, there's no question. And I want to, at the end of the day, this whole to me, it doesn't end well, the whole cancel culture thing. It just doesn't play out the way people want it to. You have too many opposing things, okay? You want to defund police. You want to take guns away. Who's going to take those guns away? The defunded police?
Right.
The National Guard you had sleep in a parking garage?
Exactly.
So to me, you're canceling everybody. And when you cancel somebody, it gives them nowhere to go, which is like the Gina Carano situation, that there's no good way out, right? There's no way to reconcile that in the eyes of many people. So I see it ultimately turn into a giant backfire, particularly because of the administration.
Absolutely. And even how we were talking about transgender earlier, with Caitlyn Jenner or whatever her name is. I can't think of her name, but she's perfectly accepted and loved when she's considered a left, but then she runs for governor as a Republican, and all of a sudden, all the insults start. It's just such a hypocrisy on every level. It's almost like a joke anymore.
Right.
You have Hunter Biden teaching some class at a college.
Oh my God.
He's a crackhead.
Oh my God. Did you see that?
It's Bill Clinton leading a women's something or other.
Oh yeah.
This is great. What? And
oh yeah, bizarro world.
It is. I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone. Honestly, I can't even.
The thing with Hunter Biden that I find hilarious, because knowing him the way I know him, in terms of Don Jr., if Don ever pulled that crap, oh my gosh, they'd crucify him.
Absolutely.
It would be like, oh my God, it would be front page news every day. Hunter Biden, guys, let me put this in perspective. Hunter Biden literally talked about smoking Parmesan off his floor, smoking crack.
Right.
Okay? Let that sink in for a second. If that was ever Donald Trump Jr., the world would have exploded. It would have
exploded. I always feel this. I feel if Trump had ran,
he smoked crack.
Yeah, if Trump had ran for the Democrat Party, they would love him. It's simply because he's a Republican. That's what this whole thing is about. And if you look at the bigger picture, it's all because of what the bigger goal is, the bigger plan is. And the Republican values just don't fit into that plan. So
he smoked crack. Let that sink in. I mean, am I crazy? So yeah, the left is in a very precarious position. I think they backed themselves into a wall because they're listening to the extreme side of the party, right? So they can't find the middle. God save them, but that's really the reality. We'll see.
Yep.
I think they're going to get toasted in the midterm elections. I think they're going to get absolutely toasted, the Democrats.
Let's hope so.
Yeah, I don't think they stand a chance in the midterms, and there's a number of reasons for that. But you look at what Biden's doing; they have him on this, like, no pun intended, this like suicide course, right? They have him like, we're going to ban the pipeline, we're going to lose a gazillion jobs there, right? We're going to allow that to happen. Our national security is going to go to shit, right? We care about the coronavirus, but we're going to open the borders and we're going to let everybody in, right? And we're going to let them all sleep together and cohabitate, and then we're going to give them cell phones and money. So it's at some point, you hope people are going to be like, what the fuck? What is going on? And the border thing is a hilarious crisis.
Oh, that's hilarious.
You're down. I mean, look, that's a hilarious problem, in my opinion.
And they still haven't visited the border.
Exactly. I mean, number one, nobody wants to pick up. That is a death sentence for whoever goes down there, because nobody wants to pick up that mantle and run with it, right? Like, they went to Kamala, and she was like, new phone, who dis? Like, straight up.
Yep.
So, yeah,
if
nothing
she
about
goes
it.
Down there, she'll have to admit that there's a problem, and they can't have that.
No.
So.
How about in your first 200 days, you go to the border?
Right.
How about in your first 300? How about anybody in that press room, please ask this question. Okay? It's really simple. Ask this question.
But they won't.
Why haven't you gone to the border yet?
Yeah, but they won't.
Your schedule's a little tough, a little busy. I mean, God.
I guess it's a joke. It really is. It's just a joke, and we are getting influx of. In Texas, we really starting to see it more. Even
is it affecting you now?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You see a very high amount of. It's sad to me to see, like, women on the side of the road that are carrying their babies, and that's like every corner now.
Right.
They're selling flowers or whatever, and you got to know. I mean, I'm Mexican as well. My mother's Mexican, so I speak Spanish fluently. So I'm not talking badly about Mexicans. I'm just saying you can tell that they're immigrants and they're,
right.
That's their only option. So it's sad. It's very, very sad to me that this is happening, because there's a lot of people that are going to be affected by that. The children that are suffering and
they're picking kids up in the Rio Grande.
It's so sad.
It's terrible. They're picking kids up in the ocean. I mean, in the river. Sorry, and it's mind blowing. It's just whatever. But
right, we really. I mean, I would like to somehow. My husband and I are talking about how do we put something together to go and help some of those children at the border, because I don't think anybody really cares about them. They're just like collateral damage right now, and nobody's really focused on their well-being, and it's really sad.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It really is. It's a troubling situation. Have you felt it at all in the pocketbook yet? Or are they starting to hit you guys with like this? Because who pays for this, right?
Exactly.
Who pays for it? And I would think it's gonna hit you guys first, because everybody's gonna try to. All right, we're in America. We're gonna live here. I don't know what they're gonna do with all these people. They said it was up 300% from last year. 300%.
It's insane.
I mean, that's a crazy number. I mean,
I know our governor is like screaming about it every day, but
he's gonna have to bust them out of there.
Yeah, I mean, what can we do? And it's just an unfortunate situation that the fake news is just not covering properly, so everybody's just in complete denial about the whole situation. It's so frustrating.
Well, you have to look for alternatives to get information. That's a given. Even Fox at times can be guilty of sometimes creating. Don't even get me started.
It's a crisis. It's a full-blown crisis. If you look in the streets, you see an abnormal amount of people with children. Just they're on the street. What can they do?
I don't know. It's unfortunate. Listen, I know you got to get out of here.
Yeah, I've got to catch a plane here in a little bit, but I thank you for having me here, and
it was amazing. I appreciate both of you. I appreciate you coming out, taking the time to do the show, and I love what you're doing. I think the work will ultimately speak for itself and everything that you do.
Thanks for the donuts.
Oh, no.
The donuts look awesome.
The donuts look great. Let everybody know where they can find you, how they can reach you, and how they can get in touch with you.
You can find me online. Liberte Austin is my handle. It's Liberty with an E. You can also find my organization, defendthebadge.org, and you can get information about how you can help police officers. If you have gear that you want to donate for them, that would be greatly appreciated.
Well, there you have it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Head over to the website. Go check out a complete list of the sponsors. We are going to be giving a trip away to the studio at some point. That's a big deal. So I'm going to get that together. So we will be doing that.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm excited. So I'll get into that and I'll get the details to you guys at some point, but we're going to do that. On another note, thank you to you. Thank you to US Law Shield and every other brand.
Yeah, absolutely. Check out US Law Shield. If you don't have something to protect you legally, you need it. 100%.
Amen. Head over to the website, www.johnbartoloshow.com. Go check out a complete list of the sponsors. I want to thank a few of them now. CAA Gear Up USA, Volquartsen Firearms, Kenzie's Optics, Right On Optics, Blackwater Ammunition, Inforce Weapon Lights, Rhino Metals, and Galatech. If I didn't hit them in the beginning, I try to do it reverse. Appreciate you guys. Go check out the show everywhere podcasts are listed and leave a review. We're out.